So that, my friends, was a sneak peek into the world of Moss, a series of VR games that I've had the absolute joy to work on for the last 6 years now. The most recent release is Moss Book 2, and the score I wrote for it is very, very thematic. I've already done one video talking about the main theme and sort of how I repurposed it from the original Moss into Moss Book 2. This time around, I thought we'd take a look at all the secondary themes, which are mostly character themes. There are a lot of themes in total, close to 20, I think, in the whole game, and we're gonna go through every single one of them today. No, just kidding. We're gonna go through maybe 4, 5. Okay, we're gonna do 6. So what makes for an effective and emotionally impactful theme? For me, the notes that the theme are playing are just as important as the harmony sort of surrounding the theme, as well as the instruments that are actually playing the theme. The first example I want to play for you is called the glass theme, and glass is something in the world of Moss that gives you power depending on which piece of glass you have, and there are 5 pieces total. So I wanted to write a theme that sounded mysterious and sort of fairy tale-esque, but also had a sense of something is coming. I wanted it to feel like it was ancient, but also looking forward to something else. And by something else, I mean the events in the game that unfold due to the finding of these different pieces of glass. I originally wrote this on my piano, which is just over there. You can't quite see it. And it's kind of orchestrated for high piano and celeste and sort of soft strings to give it that ethereal, sort of timeless quality. I'm sure by now you've noticed Quill, the eensy-beensy little mouse, eensy-beensy? Itty-bitty little mouse running around in the gameplay footage. She's our hero. She's the one that we are on this journey with. In contrast to Quill, you have the warden, who is the exact opposite of everything that Quill is. She's literally mouse-sized, and he is literally human giant-sized. I wanted to emphasize sort of his weight and his size with lots of low, very specific sounding instruments. And Kristin Naigus, who played all the woodwinds in Moss, pulled out her bass clarinet and bassoon and played 4-part harmony themes for the warden, which I doubled with electric bass guitar and low piano. So whenever you hear these notes playing, they don't even need to be more than one note. You just hear this texture, and it's got this just very sort of scary, dark sound to it. Did you notice on the battle cry, it was completely different instruments playing the warden theme? That's what's so fun about musical themes. That was literally the beginning of Quill's big fight with the warden, and I love the idea of taking his theme but orchestrating it with Quill's instruments. So it's lots of guitars, high piano, and high whistles, which are normally associated with Quill's character, but in this case, they're playing the warden's theme in sort of like a spicy intro, because Quill's basically like, let's do this. She's not scared. Back again to the other end of the musical spectrum, we have the theme for Argus, who's Quill's uncle. When the original Moss, Quill set out on a journey specifically to find him. He had gone missing. Now in Moss Book 2, they continue the adventure together, and I really like the idea of the music emotionally underscoring how Quill felt about Argus, but also, and almost more importantly, how Argus feels about Quill. There's a very simple 5-note theme I sort of think of as the call to adventure that's actually from the first Moss. I like the idea of music that has these jumps in it and kind of keeps jumping up. Think about the traditional sort of heroic theme from something like Star Wars or Superman. I wanted to put my own Quill-sized spin on this, so it's normally in the high woodwinds, but it still has a sense of expectation and excitement. Now, with all these different themes playing at different times and playing on top of each other sometimes, I wanted to make sure that each one was as unique as possible. So I was very careful to look at the first 2 notes of every theme and make sure that the intervals or the distance between the notes was different. That way, if you heard something like the call to adventure, within the first 2 notes, you would be able to recognize it. This next theme is the perfect example of that. It's my generic kind of evil theme. It's used quite extensively when there's not direct conflict, like a boss fight or something like that. Now, I promise you, within hearing the second note of this theme, your brain's going to immediately say, there's something wrong, that's not quite right. And it's that slithering kind of creepy harmony that I was relying on to set this theme apart. So let's wrap things up on a more upbeat, positive vibe, shall we? This is the theme for Sahima, who is a secondary character that you can play in addition to the main character, Quill. While the notes to her theme stay the same, the speed at which they're played and sort of the instrumentation around the theme evolve as your relationship with Sahima evolves. So see if you can spot some of the more sassy, rebellious kinds of instruments in the first example, as opposed to the more welcoming and familiar orchestration in example 2. music is such a powerful tool. It's like the invisible narrator emotionally conveying everything you need to know about characters, plot, and especially subtext. I think this probably applies in any sort of medium, but for games, you could take it and multiply it times 10. We've really only covered less than a third of the themes that I wrote for Moss Book 2, but hopefully I gave you a little tiny insight into the amazing job that I have and the privilege that I call composing for video games. So if you've had the chance to play Moss Book 2 in VR or just listen to the soundtrack on its own, it's available streaming and physical media, let me know in the comments. Do you have a favorite theme? Or maybe you've even noticed a theme that I didn't cover today. Trust me, there are plenty more.